So I'd like to call any board meeting order.
Very good.
I'm reading,
I will be happy to. Pursuant to chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28th, 2025. This meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and to board members, this meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by using the Zoom login information below, as shown in the agenda. Viewers can visit https://thelocalscene.media/Duxbury/ for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube.
Steve. Our first order of business is administrative items. We have minutes from May 12th.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the meeting of May 12th, 2025.
Second.
All right, Steve, any comments on the minutes? Discussion?
No.
All right, none. We'll call for a roll call vote. Why don't we start with Jen and then Matt?
Jen Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Carpenter, aye.
And Steve Gant, aye.
Okay, thank you. We have anything else under administrative? No. All right, excellent. This will bring us then to a public hearing on the stormwater regulations. A copy of the public hearing notice. Here. We can vote to waive the reading of the public hearing notice.
I
I'll read. Pursuant to the town of Duxbury general bylaws, chapter 7.26, the planning board will hold a public hearing in this large classroom on the second floor of the senior center and Mayflower Street, Duxbury, by Zoom on Monday, June 9th at 6 p.m. for adoption of Duxbury proposed rules and regulations for stormwater management after a public comment period. Any person interested or wishing to comment on the proposal should appear at this time and place. A complete copy of the request will be available before the meeting on the planning board's webpage at town.duxburyma.us/planning board or by contacting the planning office. Any individual with a disability may request accommodation in order to participate in the public hearing and may request that the application and any accompanying materials in an accessible format. Such requests should be made at least 3 business days in advance by contacting the planning department. Pursuant to chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy by remote means in accordance with the applicable law. Please note that while the option for remote attendance and participation is being provided as a courtesy of the public and board members, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by laws. Members of the public, Mr. Watt, you can do so using the Zoom login information on the agenda. And we can also visit the local scene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. We have stormwater regulations. This, as I understand it, the bylaws were passed, 8 years ago or something. And we've never adopted the regulations, so it's well too time to do so. In terms of the public hearing, do we have an applicant who is presenting?
They're here.
Right there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ennis. I'm a professional engineer from Apex and Engineering, and town has hired us to help you guys prepare these stormwater regulations.
Thank you.
And we prepared a slide check.
Yeah.
Can you maybe go to the next? Yes. So this is all part of the Massachusetts Small Municipal Separate Stormwater Storm Sewer System MS4 permit that became effective in 2018. And like you guys mentioned, you passed the bylaws, I think it was 7.26 in 2020. And this permit became effective in, like I said, July 2018, and it applies to communities not defined as a large MS4 locally located partially or wholly within an urbanized area as defined by the most recent census. And the requirements of the permit vary by community and go out through the year 2028.
Mhm.
Now, EPA has been performing audits of these communities and seeing if they comply with what is necessary each year. And specifically, right now, they're targeting the local stormwater bylaws and regulations. And EPA is specifically going down your list of all towns alphabetically to see if they have them in place. And as a result, has issued Duxbury an administrative order to pass these regulations.
Gotcha. When did the administrative work?
That came, I
It came out, end of last year.
think it was January, yeah, January of 2025, but they reached out to us in the fall.
Yep.
About this.
So let us know.
Yep.
I have a small question. I don't want to derail this thing, just want to get through it, but the definition of urbanized area. And
So
you,
the definition of an urbanized area. I actually don't know that answer.
does it come from the EPA?
Yeah, it comes from the EPA.
Oh,
Some of the MS4 permits requirements are to prepare a stormwater management plan. Towns required to file a notice of intent with the EPA, file annual reports, and you guys have all been keeping up with that, as I understand.
mhm.
Then there are also 6 minimum control measures: public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination program, construction sites, stormwater runoff control, new development and redevelopment, post-construction stormwater management, and good housekeeping and pollution. And most of these you guys have been keeping up with pretty good from what I understand of your stormwater person that works with us.
Mhm.
And there's also additional requirements for communities that discharge to impaired waters. And the public education is just educating the public about the types of stormwater that is discharged, and it requires it to be direct messages to your website. And the illicit discharge detection and elimination program is the MS4 would like the town to create legal authority to prohibit, investigate, eliminate illicit discharge through their bylaws.
Mhm.
Bylaws you have in place, so that's not an issue right
And they do
now.
meet that requirement.
Yeah,
Authority investigation, so very good.
and the MS4 requires you to track sanitary sewer overflows, additional mapping, additional sampling, additional catch basin investigations, preparing an illicit discharge detection elimination plan, and annual updates and ranking outfalls based upon vulnerability factors. You guys have all been doing very well on those.
But would we not have the legal authority to prohibit, investigate, and so on if it was not included in the bylaw?
If it was not included in your bylaw, I believe it's section 7.27 or 7.26. I'm not 100% positive which one of those it is.
Thank you.
And then your construction site, stormwater runoff is requiring additional sediment and erosion controls. And that particular one is regarding new development and redevelopment. So for new development that would come in front of the planning board or conservation commission, they would be required to look into low impact development and green infrastructure practices. They're required to have additional performance standards for total suspended solids, phosphorus, nitrogen, and stormwater volume retention. They're required to submit as-built drawings to the town within 2 years. And the MS4 permit would also like you guys to start looking into ways in your local regulations and bylaws that you can start incorporating green infrastructure into them. I don't think you guys have tackled that one yet. And also, the MS4 permit wants, town to start constructing new BMPs on municipal properties. To treat the stormwater
Mhm.
that's flowing off the. Area,
Yeah, street run.
yeah. For good housekeeping, you've developed, operation and maintenance plans for your, town facilities, municipal buildings as such, and it's a requirement to continue inspectioning, to conduct inspections, cleaning catch basins, street sweeping, maintaining roadway salt, and inspecting your stormwater facilities, which you guys are all doing well. And how to develop a stormwater pollution prevention plan for your DPW facilities, transfer stations, et cetera. MCM3 is about the illicit discharge detection and elimination program, and this section right here, 2.3.4A. Says that the IDDE program shall include adequate legal authority to prohibit illicit discharge, investigate suspected illicit discharge, eliminate illicit discharges, including discharges from properties not owned by or controlled by the MS4, the town, that discharges into the MS4 system, and implement appropriate enforcement procedures and actions. Adequate legal authority consists of currently effective ordinances, bylaw, or other regulatory mechanisms. And like I mentioned, you guys have that already. And the bylaws and regulations were required by 3 years from the permit effective date. So that would be 2021.
Mhm. Okay.
The bylaw has been in place since 2020. The bylaw, the regulations were a little bit lagging. So MCM4 is the construction site stormwater runoff. And that's in what is required by section 2.3.5.C.1. An ordinance or regulatory mechanism that requires the use of sediment and erosion control practices at the construction site. And MCM5 is for new development and redevelopment, section 2.3.6.A.2. The permittee shall develop or modify as appropriate an ordinance or other regulatory mechanism by year 3 of the effective date of the permit. The following low impact development site planning, compliance with the stormwater management handbook, and additional requirements that exceed the stormwater management handbook requirements. So the Duxbury bylaw as it stands now, you passed the bylaw and the stormwater bylaw and the illicit discharge bylaw in the spring 2020 town meeting. The stormwater rules and regs have yet to be approved. Stormwater bylaw shall be administered by the building department according to section 7.226.5. Section 7.26.5 authorizes the planning board, board of health, conservation commission, zoning board of appeals, and building department to adopt, modify the rules and regs to administer the stormwater bylaw. So you got a whole bunch of organizations that can do it. And these rules and regs would apply to sites that disturb over 40,000 square feet, sites that disturb over 15,000 square feet in a residential zone and render 25% or more of any undeveloped lot impervious or increase the lot's impervious area by 25%. It also applies to sites that disturb 1,000 square feet of land on undisturbed or natural slopes greater than 25%. Constructs or alters a drainage system serving an area of more than 15,000 square feet. And any land use involving higher potential pollutant loads. And so in these stormwater regulations that we've put together, we've provided administrative details in 5 and 6 and 8, section 5, 6, and 8, which would go through, which spell out how these regulations would be administered and what the processes are. It requires a stormwater pollution prevention plan in section 6. Requires an operation and maintenance plan. As well as an operation and maintenance plan, operation and maintenance agreement. And
I'm sorry, who's the counterparty for that O&M agreement?
so the O and M would be written by the developer or applicant who would come in front of you.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, the town is one party, and I think you answered it. The
Yes.
developer would be the other party. Yeah, okay.
Yep, the HOA, or if it's a definitive subdivision that the town would eventually accept the roadway,
Mhm.
then it is the developer until the town accepts the roadway.
Thank you.
The stormwater rules and regs provide additional details of the stormwater report that must be submitted. Specifically about sizing calculations and details on the erosion and sediment control plan. Requires that the operation and maintenance reports be sent to the town annually for review to the building department. The new performance standards emphasize low impact development strategies. Have landscaping design requirements. Have additional requirements for phosphorus removal, nitrogen removal. Total suspended solids removal, and it promotes retaining stormwater on site.
Mhm.
It also has increased infiltration in sensitive areas. And there are more specific inspection criteria in section 9.0 that details when during site construction, the town would have to come out and inspect it, and these inspections would be funded by the developer. And it includes ongoing operation and maintenance requirements, and it requires an as-built plan to be submitted to the town within 2 years of completion. And that's about it.
Good.
Any more questions?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that came up as you were presenting, and I don't know if maybe for you or maybe for Sheila. I guess the one thing that jumped out at me was, go back to the slide if that helps. You had 3 items that you mentioned: addition and low impact and site planning, compliance with mass stormwater requirements, and then additional requirements. Whenever I see something that says additional requirements, I wonder what requirements, where are they coming from? What does that actually mean?
Do you remember what slide that was on?
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it was in the context of the. And you were just summarizing what's in.
It says additional requirements that exceed the stormwater management.
Right, so where we exceed the stormwater management handbook, that's kind of where I'm
Okay,
wondering, that's in our bylaw. Right, and we haven't run into any afoul of any other regulatory bodies or anything by extending those requirements.
so that is in the rules and regs,
Mhm.
these ones right here that we have yet to adopt.
Okay,
So, the MS4 permit has requirements in it. That towns adopt local stormwater regulations. That are in line with the MS4 permit. Where there is a disconnect is the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Handbook has not been updated since 2008,
right, okay.
and things have changed since then. So we are taking what is from the Massachusetts DEP Stormwater Management Handbook. And we're supplementing it to also include the requirements from the MS4 permit. Specifically, the the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Handbook did not require stormwater pollution prevention plans to be submitted to the town. It did require them to be submitted to EPA. It did not, the handbook did not require the operation and maintenance manual to be submitted to every town, or annual reports or operation and maintenance agreements. It did not require detailed inspections. The handbook did not require infiltration. It did not promote green infrastructure or low impact design, because those were kind of new at the time. It increases the amount, these new regulations increase the total suspended solid removal requirement from 80%, which was the handbook, to 90%. The handbook did not require phosphorus removal. These regulations do.
Okay, good.
So now we're in line with the MS4 permit.
Great.
Make sense?
Yep, that covers it. Thank you. That answers my question very thoroughly. I guess this is the other one that, and I did quickly review, the regs, but I want to just put it out there that we do have, numerous parties mentioned, planning board, presumably the sort of primary from an administrative, and the building inspector, of course, from an enforcement perspective. But as far as conservation or ZBA and the other boards sort of adopting this, what does that actually mean?
So what that means is if someone was to come in front of conservation and with a notice of intent, they would have to not only file the notice of intent application, but also the stormwater management permit. And they'd have to comply with the stormwater regulations, these ones, or the conservation.
Just the
Commission.
conservation unit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Very clear, thank you. Any questions from any planning board members on Zoom? No, looks good. Steve?
I guess just, the only other question that I had is, you mentioned that the bylaw and regulations require 3 years from the permit effective date. And I guess the effective date of the permit was 2018, is that right? Yeah, so obviously we're well past that. Are there any repercussions that come as a result of that gap?
So I mentioned earlier that there was an administrative order by EPA that was issued January,
January.
and the administrative order said that the town of Duxbury has to accept regulations by the end of this month. And if they don't, I believe there are repercussions. What they are.
We anticipate we would be fined. We don't adopt these regs by June 30th.
Okay.
The EPA has been very good to work with. So I alluded to, they reached out to me back in the fall, asking where are your stormwater regulations, and I went to the bylaw. I sent them the bylaw and they said, no, the bylaw references these regulations, and then I started searching and turns out the bylaw references regulations that we never followed up. So there was some sort of disconnect. When the EPA's pointing something like that out, you know it's a concern. But they came back and they said, all right, well, let's work with you to figure this out. So they asked us to develop a timeline to develop these regs and get them adopted, and we asked to have through the end of this fiscal year, which clearly it's taken that long because we had different drafts. We worked with Apex, who's our MS4 consultant. We brought in representatives from the building department, conservation, health, planning, to make sure all of those entities that were mentioned in the bylaw were represented. And then we had the EPA review our draft regs, which they reviewed swiftly and came back and had a few comments. Following that, we sent it to town council for their legal review. And so ultimately now we're here. So it requires the public hearing, and then I believe is it the next meeting in 2 weeks that it would actually be voted on.
Okay.
So if all that happens, we'll get in just in time. If not, we anticipate the EPA would be finding us because they have worked cooperatively, especially considering we're so, far beyond the deadline when this was supposed to happen.
Mhm.
This is Jen Turcott, if I may, through the acting chair, just a procedural question. We are adopting a stormwater bylaw, is that correct?
We already have the bylaw. This is just the rules and regulations to go with the bylaw.
Okay, that answers my question because I was concerned that town meeting would have to be involved, but we've already done the bylaw part. These are the rules and regulations. Okay, thank you.
Good thing. And actually, I have a procedural question as well. Are we prohibited from voting in this meeting? Just pass it
There
through.
has to be a public comment period, right?
Okay, we've
Yes.
already done the
Yeah.
public. Great, we have, all right.
Hence the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions from planning board members? Any members of the public who would like to comment or ask questions of the presenter? Anybody in the room, Zoom? Okay, great. Unless there's any further discussion, since we're not voting, I think we can just close the public hearing.
Or continue it
Or continue.
to the next meeting of June 23rd.
Like make a motion for that.
My goodness, yes, I would like to make a motion that we continue the meeting on the public hearing regarding the stormwater regulations to June 23rd, 2025. 2 weeks from
Second.
today.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Steve. Any discussion? Roll call, Jen, please.
Jen Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Gardner, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
All right, we'll pick it up again on the 23rd. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much, very helpful.
Appreciate it.
Elizabeth.
Right, moving right along. This, I guess, brings us right into the MBTA communities item. Because we're not doing parks on it. So quickly going. So the MBTA communities working group has been working on this bylaw. Sometimes you all know that feedback from EOHLC, there was a technical issue with the maps, which was actually present in the first round last year, which has been corrected. We have revised maps. Very slight revision to move the boundary of MCOD Tremont to include the street frontage and reduce MCOD Kingstown to eliminate the memory care unit and add the street frontage. According to EOHLC and our consultant, this satisfies the compliance requirements of the state. It does not alter the density, statistics or limits, nor the ultimate maximum production potential, let's say, of about 788 units. So it's a non-action in terms of having to make any change that requires a public hearing prior to town meeting. So what is required at this time, as I understand it, is for the planning board to accept this revision to the map so that it can be presented to the select board and included in town meeting. So we need a motion.
Yes,
to-
yes, so I would like to make a motion here. I would like to recommend that the amended maps and article text as shown in the warrant. And that the two locations, the two sub-districts are considered eligible locations.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think Jen seconded. Got the half, like second half of that.
Yes.
Do we have any discussion regarding the maps? Is it good? You guys actually seen this? Do you know the particulars on that? I'm sure you can't see it from here, but
Yeah, we've reviewed it. Been a long time coming. Great job.
yeah, a long time. And right under the wire too. So I'm very happy that this is coming together successfully.
And not on the floor of town meeting
Right.
this time.
Ahead of time. That's good. Right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion regarding the map?
Nope.
Any comments from the public? Anyone like to weigh in on this? No? Okay, I guess we can have a vote then. We'll again start with Jen. Roll call vote.
Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Ed Gardner, aye.
Steve Gant, aye.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful.
Wow, we're just cruising
Look at
through.
that.
6:30. What else can we do here, Emily?
Committee liaison report.
Oh my gosh. Well, did you have a particular item? or-
Parkside.
Oh, Parkside, well, I think that's been deferred, right?
No, we're just waiting for,
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's gonna be 6:30, yeah.
so it needs 5 members to vote on it, so we're waiting for one other member that should be on the way.
Okay, no worries, that's what I figured.
Well, we could do a couple of liaison reports, I guess. Jen, who are you liaising with these days?
Well, I have not been doing a whole lot of liaising because the DEI committee has not met in a few months here, so I have nothing to report.
Well, you, Matt?
Nothing on my end. I'm on the Sidewalk and Bike Path Committee. There was a meeting last Tuesday, but unfortunately I was in Boston for a work event, so I was not able to attend. So we meet the first Tuesday of every month.
For my part, I can report on the Affordable Housing Trust. They did have a site walk at the East Street location, 0 East Street, 257 East Street. I'm not sure if I reported on this before, actually. Was that? I don't know, for me. Attended by a couple of developers, a number of people from the Asian Dementia Friendly Task Force of Duxbury were there. So yeah, we had a good walk of the property. It was a pretty nice day. It's an RFP that's on the street, so there really wasn't any substantive discussion, no new information or anything like that. Good to get a look at it, get people familiar with the parcel. The area that's slated for development is actually in the sort of the back on the right side of the property, and it's not very easy to get to. The grass is kind of pretty tall, so everybody wanted to keep their shoes clean. I think we stayed on the driveway. So we didn't get into the actual developable portion. Good response from the developers. There's definitely more interest this time. So we're hoping to see some good responses to that. They're also eagerly awaiting participation from the planning board on the housing production plan implementation idea. So that's on waiting in the wings still. It's really the main. The other topic that's floating around, I guess, is the maintaining the subsidized housing inventory and who's responsible for that, and still seems to be a challenge that we're working through. That's about it. Maybe CPC is meeting this summer. Don't start business. How about you? Yes.
MBTA community's working,
Yeah.
we just voted on that here, and, yep, we're ready, going full board to, special town meeting a week from today.
Hmm. Okay, that's we've got liaison reports. So now we're waiting for another member, so we can proceed with your item. Sorry for the delay of getting you.
Which one are we waiting on? The Parkside?
I have Heidi here from Paul Cousins' office. She's our the consultants handling the affordable housing process.
Oh, excellent.
So she knows what's going on.
Hi, Heidi.
Good evening to everyone.
Frustrating because I'm eager to get into it. I know you've got the change here. It's pretty straightforward from what I see. We really, can't
No, I get it.
join it until we have a compliment.
Are we deferring the Mark from Land Farms performance bond matter?
Yes.
Okay.
And the local historic district commission, they also decided to switch to another night.
Got it. Okay. Emily, are we still scheduled to join the select board meeting though tonight?
Yes, yeah.
I can give you a status, what's going on over there. Talk about something, right?
Yeah, you might have to repeat it, but I remember you here, but.
Oh, not related to affordable housing, we just talked about the project.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've pretty much finished up the roads, the binders,
good.
and we expect to have,
Sure enough.
here we go.
Yellow
Good.
lane.
You know, we expect to be coming in, from the final road, probably 60 to 90 days
Mhm.
to get that accepted. So things are going well.
All right, we're just coming up on the Parkside modification. Okay. And it's my understanding that due to changes made at the state level, the language that we have provided in section 4A of the Parkside provision. I'd like to resume your
Oh, I don't know. You
original
just
role.
want to keep going?
We're just about to get started on Parkside. So.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Well, so we're here to discuss a revision to the agreement, the marketing agreement, as I understand it.
No, it's to the special permit, a modification to the special permit.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
have one piece of language, section 4A, referring to the resale price. And the mode of calculating the resale price has been updated by the state. We have new language replacing 4A. Instead of resale price, it is a resale price multiplier. Seems to incorporate the same factors. In terms of resale fees, marketing expenses, improved capital improvements is discounted. And the main change, as I understand it, is that the price is calculated by fraction or a percentage rather than being sort of specified as previously was. Would you like to present on this topic or have Heidi?
I'm gonna defer to Heidi.
Okay, the resale price multiplier is what they use to set a sales price for future sales. At the initial sale of the affordable home, during the closing, the monitoring agent will complete the deed rider. They will approve the price that is calculated through a matrix designed by the state, which takes into factors like PMI, insurance, taxes, things like that, and it's calculated based on the area median income by family size. That price is then divided by the base number of the area median income, and that's how you get your percentage, your resale price percentage. Once the sale, the initial sale is gone through, and now they, years later, they want to sell the property, they would have to notify the monitoring agent. The monitoring agent would assign an agency to resell the property. At that time, the sale price would be recalculated based on the AMI numbers that are out for that year. Every year, the AMI numbers increase, which includes increasing the base number. The resale would be the, excuse me one second. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, sorry. It's the resale multiplier times the income number will give you a new multiplier for that deed rider for the additional second sale or any sales there in the future. Does that make any sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions? Did I not get that across well?
It's making more sense.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to understand specifically, because you mentioned a couple of different parties involved. Where here in the language, and I don't know if this is part of what we're actually adopting or if this is explanatory, the asterisk, the resale multiplier will be determined by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities at the time of initial, then subsequently changing for each future sale. So is it my understanding that you mentioned the monitoring agent is notified of the intent to sell, the agent assigns, I guess, a sales agent or some entity, and then that entity would be responsible for communicating with EOHLC to get their official multiplier? Is that, am I understanding this correctly?
No, whoever the agency that is assigned, like for instance, if they assign Delphic Associates, we would be the one that would use the current area median income. We would do the calculations with the matrix that's required to figure the sale prices. And then we would just do the basic calculation, divide, by the base number, and we would have the new multiplier. Again, once the sale goes through, the monitoring agent would, be at the closing, so they would review the documents. If need be, they would be changed, but I've never had that happen in our experience.
So is it safe to say that the seller or the developer as the seller sets the multiplier at the time of sale of the first 40B unit, the first affordable?
No. At the time of the initial sale for the affordable unit, the sale price and the resale multiplier are approved by the monitoring agent. NeighborWorks, there's a NeighborWorks Solutions is one of the ones that are common in this area that we use as a monitoring agent. They would approve the price that we calculated. They would do the calculation and they would determine the initial sale multiplier. For today, I ran some numbers real quick. Based on the sale price today, the resale multiplier would be 2.34%. We would take the sale price, which we've approximately 376,900, and we would divide that by 160,900. That would give you your multiplier of 2.34. Now, that's for the initial buyer. Let's say in 5 years that buyer wants to sell their property, they notify the monitoring agent, and then the agency assigned will do a new sale price calculation and come up with the new percentage for the resale multiplier. That'll go to closing. The monitoring agent will see the changes. That will go through. Like I said, we've never had any monitoring agent come back and change anything. The mathematics are pretty straightforward. The numbers are given. So it's not hard math. It is a little confusing to understand because it's divide, subtract, multiply, it goes back and forth, but all in all, it comes down to a basic divide or multiply formula with the numbers that happen to be as of the day. Every year, the numbers change. Mostly always go up. Sometimes they go down, but mostly always go up.
Can I ask you a question?
Please do.
Has town council weighed in on A, the necessity of this change, and B, the text of the change?
I do not know.
This town council has not.
Is that typically?
Well, I mean, I think we have an applicant who's saying that what we had drafted and what their current permit provides is not consistent with current Massachusetts law. And that what they are now proposing is the way to address it. I, quite frankly, have no idea. There is real complexity in the question. And I would most certainly send that question to town council before I acted at all.
Good advice, Wayne, thank you. And I'm a little confused because it says, I mean, in the proposed new language, it specifically identifies EOHLC as the entity setting the price, and yet what you just explained, Heidi, didn't reference them, so I don't understand.
When we submitted the final approval application to EOHLC, when they reviewed the application, they came back and said that the regulations you have in the special permit don't comply with the current rules and regulations and guidelines that are active now. So they asked us to come and change.
Where is that reflected in anything?
Where is it
Yeah.
reflected in anything?
Yeah, what document or other evidence reflects what you just described as the direction from the EOHLC?
Okay, so I can provide you with the email from them that asks us to correct this issue. But further, I had sent a copy of the deed rider that accompanies all affordable units at time of sale in perpetuity. And on page 4 of the deed rider is the language that is currently being used by EOHLC that is in the deed rider that gets recorded at time of sale along with the deed. So the language comes from the legal document.
But what you just, I think, answered for me was you, in your deed rider that you drafted.
No, we did not draft. There's a standard state form that is provided by EOHLC.
Okay. I absolutely am of the mind that I personally can't act on this today. And that I wouldn't act on it unless and until town council says this is the appropriate way to address this issue.
Thank you, Wade. Any other comments from public? Planning board members?
I concur with Wayne. That was my first reading of it. I don't have any issues with the ask or the revised language, but we need some confirmation from town council that the proposed revised mechanism for calculating the resale price certificate is in fact consistent with the EOHLC's new requirements. If it is, I have no issues with the request. But we need confirmation that that is accurate. That's my thoughts.
Let's hear a motion.
Yeah,
Sure.
I propose that we ask town council to weigh in, and if they are okay with this, that we proceed. How do we do that? I propose that we move to approve pending town council's contingent on town council's approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? To request town council.
Well, but I mean, the motion, I think says we are going to approve pending review by town council. If town council says this is non-compliant, they've reviewed, the town council has reviewed.
Okay.
Pre-commit or something.
This is Jen.
I think that the motion, I would like to amend the motion to that I would move for approval in the event that town council says this is required and appropriate.
Would you need a second for that?
Mhm.
I'll second that. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, Jen, did you have a comment or question?
I was just agreeing with Wayne.
All right, so we have a revised motion. Any further discussion? Everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
All right, call for a vote then. Start with Jen, roll call.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Wayne Dennis and I.
Kristen Rath, aye.
Jack Carpenter, aye.
You can't,
So we'll take it under advisement with our town council, and I imagine we'll be back to talk about this again.
Or not.
We may not, we
You may not.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's approved,
If
subject to
the town council says it's good, it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
We don't.
And,
Makes sense.
yeah, do you have a idea of timeframe for the turnaround on that?
We have unbelievably responsive town council. It was sitting immediately to your left.
I know. I'm sort of, I didn't want to lean on them. We're shooting to start construction on this first. That's what. And we're actually in the Concom on the second lot tomorrow night. So we want to build.
I can't envision a set of circumstances where August 1st is the deadline, isn't gonna be a problem. This would be a problem.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, right, great. So I think that actually.
thanks, Ivy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just saw John Baldwin, he said he's moved to continue this or not doing this tonight.
That's right.
Okay,
And local historic district commission also schedules.
all right.
We're good to go.
Good
All right, we
night.
have our-
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
I guess, yeah, we have a person on Zoom, Deborah Rankish. Did you have business with the planning board you'd like to bring up?
I think that's the Baldwin thing.
Okay.
I'm assuming, but I'm guessing.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, then I think what I'd like to suggest is that we suspend this meeting and resume at the select board.
we have town council here specifically just for us,
Oh, okay.
just for us. So,
Well, it's
so
business.
given that we have had, there's been so much happening with MBTA communities working group
Yes.
and the bylaw zoning, we thought it would be helpful to have town council here tonight with us before we go over to the select board. Because I know that we had the letter from EHLC, they went from 8 issues down to 3, and 2 of those are really just housekeeping, when you submit. Did I read that properly, Rebecca? Rebecca, is that your interpretation?
I believe they're all housekeeping for the most part.
Well, I thought one of the 3 was the maps.
Right. There are actually 4, Madam Chair, there were 4 items, 3 of which were administrative in nature.
Okay.
But the one, you're correct, the other one does pertain to map modifications. So,
And so, do you want to get a little report status on how the group is working with that, what your thoughts are, how you want to proceed, what your recommendation is and so on?
Sure, yep, we'd be happy to. Just
We did
to
vote.
to summarize very briefly, so again, EOHLC, they issued a letter to us similar to the one they were received on the floor of special town meeting last fall. This was in response to, thank you, Rebecca, the pre-adoption package that we had submitted to EOHLC for their review, and then feedback that they would give on that. We received that on June, I can remember the first one was
May 30th.
May 30th. And it had a number of items on there. We looked at that, we reviewed it. It appeared that some of their information, and we reviewed that with town council. Apparently, some of the items that they had indicated were an issue, were not an issue. So as a result of that feedback that was given to EOHLC, they reissued their feedback letter that was dated June 6th last week, which reduced the items outstanding to 4. 3 of which are primarily administrative in nature, as I mentioned, having to do with discrepancies between land areas and the GIS shapefiles and submitting compliance model. So we want to make sure that the shapefile and compliance model match. And again, there was another issue with the GIS shapefile. It will need to adhere to the submittal standards posted on the Mass website pertaining to these requirements. They also requested an updated zoning map that includes the 3A districts used for compliance. So those are the administrative items. The 4th item was in regard to the actual sub-districts that we are proposing for a special town meeting. The issue that was identified here was actually one that was similar to one that was identified at special town meeting last November. The districts did not include the rights of way. In particular, we're looking at Tremont Street for the MCOD Tremont District and Kingstown Way for the MCOD Kingstown District. They did not include the rights of way in the calculations of the area measurements. As a result, we needed to revise the maps to include those areas, which of course increased the area. Provided there weren't any other changes, that would increase the area and it would reduce density. And so we needed to factor that in. Through Rebecca, again, thank you, Rebecca, we went back to MAPC, requested that they revise the maps to reflect no net addition of area, maintaining density the same, and maintaining the number of total permitted or total allowed units that would be allowed under these districts, to remain unchanged from the maps as they were calculated prior to UHLC's feedback. The result of that is the maps that we have here, and that we are proposing be amended, that the warrant article be amended to incorporate these maps in replacement of those that we had previously voted to include in the warrant.
And so the density stays the same, we're just changing the maps.
Correct, we're changing the areas on the maps.
Okay, and is my understanding is one of the maps that's over by, like I said, Kingstown Way, does that remove the memory care portion?
Yes, so the proposed map revision here, it does remove the memory care facility
Okay,
from the area.
this little sliver here.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then you can see in the orange, that's what's being added on, and it's including the rights of way and changes.
I'm moving that, I'll do this to have this.
Hmm.
Okay. That's all right, okay,
Did we already vote this in?
Yeah, we actually did.
Yes.
Okay.
they just did it tonight, while we were gone.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
So is
Cut you
there
out there.
is there anything we want to ask our council while we're here? I know we're going to have to make an amendment on the floor, correct?
Yeah, the thing I would ask
Yeah.
town council is, what's the procedure to amend this properly so that when we make an amendment, we can go forward?
Sure, I think what it would be is you will reference the new map, in the motion. And of course, it will be up to the moderator to determine whether or not it's within the scope of the original warrant article. I think I think deducting from there and small little adding of right of ways is probably gonna be within the scope. I know that Greg and Amy will be meeting with the moderator on Thursday, and I know that this will be an area, a topic of their discussion. I think you're within the scope there and you're gonna be all set. So what you do is you will have all this handout with the new map. You'll reference that in the motion.
Reference it in the,
Motion. Greg and Amy will
They'll come up
we'll
with
draft the
language.
motion and
Okay.
we'll make sure that we get that. And I think that during any presentation, you gotta bring that up, that this is a little bit different, based on feedback, this is a little bit different than what we had originally looked at.
and so the working group will just want to make sure they have that in the presentation.
Yes, yep. You can have that.
Okay, right, and then I think that the staff, town staff is looking to have all the slides, everything in by,
Tomorrow,
yes.
yes.
I'm just throwing this out here because I would ask a question. In the world would care that you're going halfway to the middle of Tremont Street.
Yeah, I know.
You're not gonna build directly on Tremont Street.
We are plumbing the depths of the mind of the legislation, and that's a fraught exercise.
So, yeah, it's okay. But I don't understand why this would be anything outside the scope of what we already did.
No, I think you're right. I do think you're right. And to be perfectly honest with you, Wayne, when I brought that up on my computer, I was like, really? But as you point out, we're doing what they've told us we need to do.
Let's put some stuff really on the road, but we have setbacks.
Yeah.
Mention
Any
the town to the center line of either of those streets.
It's the whole right of way?
Appears to be in the entire right of way.
Yeah, on the frontage of the sub-district.
I think, perhaps it reflects the idea that land use planning is land use planning, and it doesn't matter if there's already a road there or not, it's land, right?
Oh,
be
yeah,
changed.
it's over there too. I mean, who cares?
Right, it's all technically.
Very technical.
Yep.
Okay, do we have any other questions for council?
Hmm.
Not today.
Not about this.
Um, So this is on the same thing. I sent around ADU slides today.
Yes, thank you.
Were there comments, did people follow them? I'm of the mind you can't have more than 3 points a slide ever.
Yeah.
Thus, I don't think it would, I'm gonna present it. I don't think it's gonna take me more than 7 or 8 minutes to present. But I didn't know if people had comments on the slide.
No,
I
I
do
just,
not, they're very straightforward.
yeah, very straightforward. I like the conclusions. You hit the high notes. I think there are three things, was the Rebecca and I talked about. One is. Yeah, what's, I think you might have it. Requires site plan review. You have that in there?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, requires a finding by the ZBA.
No, we didn't get into that because that's complicated.
Yeah,
Well, it requires a finding by the DBA if you're in a zone that and already have a non-conforming property, forget that.
I think that that might be where we have question. That's the one question I've gotten from somebody. Well, what happens if you have a non-conforming lot?
Right, I can answer that off the top of my head.
Okay, okay.
Because the answer, if you have a non-conforming lot, is that you don't have to go through the whole special permit process. All you have to do is get a vote by a majority vote by the ZBA.
Then how about short-term rentals through a minimum
That's it.
31-day rental requirement? Okay.
Yeah, the only other piece of feedback I'll give you, and it's not related directly to the slides, but when I had a conversation here, questions came up about the public hearing process and the notifications. Because it appears that the way this bylaw is written, we are holding public hearings, but we are not notifying abutters. Make sure my understanding is correct, and that's the case, and we may get questions about it.
We have to notify abutters of the fact that everybody in town can put up an ADU.
No, that's what I'm saying, we're not notifying.
No, I'm just trying to understand the question.
You mean if it's a next door neighbor, your next door neighbor is going to do an ADU?
Oh, I get it.
I'm confirming that the way the bylaw is written, we are holding a public hearing for site plan review, but we are not mailing.
Oh,
Paper
okay,
notifications.
I now understand your question. I'm sorry, it took me a while to get it. So what you're saying is that, right, we will hold a public hearing because site plan review does not require notice to abutters.
All right, thank you, Wayne. And Wayne, I've I'll put them in this deck, make them look a little prettier if that's okay.
I asked them to look prettier when I
Okay,
sent it
okay,
around.
good. I can help you with that.
And then I'll do Article 3 too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Article 3 is straightforward.
Okay, so I'll take this out and then, perfect. And then I'll do something, I wanted to wait until we found out. We got we voted on the map and we found out about the lawsuit, which we'll hear about tonight. And then I'll do an intro to provide some context, so I'll send around those slides as well.
And slides to do Monday. Right?
Tomorrow. Oh, funny.
I got a phone call this morning again about it. Are you gonna send it to me tomorrow?
We will get something to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, so no more questions for council?
I just want to clarify one thing. The amendment to the motions meeting is tomorrow, not Thursday. So you guys know.
Oh, okay.
What?
With the
The
moderator?
Motions meeting is
Yes.
tomorrow.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make sure they knew. 3:00, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for coming.
I'll
Yeah, no worries.
triple check that, but I sent the invite out already and everything for tomorrow at 3.
All right, I mean, I'll make sure that Amy and Greg are,
Yeah, they say we're in that, so I think we're.
all right, all
And
right.
this is for the person, all right,
Yeah, I put you in as optional because you said you wanted to be there.
okay, yeah.
We are.
All right, nothing else. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us.
Oh, yeah,
Appreciate
no
you
worries.
being here.
Now, I don't think I need to go back to the select board meeting, do I? I'll text Rain.
Then that might be up to him. In case the select board has questions.
And we're gonna go to select, we're not adjourning, we're just going to select board meeting, or we adjourning?
We're going to. We're going to.
Spending, I guess.
Spending and going to select board meeting.
We have to adjourn,
Jack,
go to
do
the
we-
select board meeting or?
Suspend, adjourn, whatever you wanna call it, but just to go to the select board meeting and you will be resuming your meeting at whatever the town hall.
I move we suspend this public hearing and resume at the select board meeting up the road at town hall.
Second.
On favor, roll call.
Jen Turcott, aye.
Matthew Ray, aye.
Wayne Dennison, aye.
Tag aye.
You get,